and I got tired of being angry.
It
so
happens.
uh, I was looking for a different place to be. I'd started out. I was doing stuff with Brodan, and one night Enosh stopped by Brodan's channel. We were supposed to be only doing like an hour-long stream. Enosh stopped by. Enosh and I ended up talking Star Wars for like 4 hours with Brodan saying not much of anything. And then that night, after the show, after mine and Brodan's supposedly hour-long show, uh, Enosh invited me to his channel. And come to find out, that was initially why he showed up anyway, because Brodan was trying to offload me onto Enosh. But you know, that's a whole other story. But so hanging out with, hanging out on the lounge. Of course, I met William the first night I was there. Uh, After the show that night, me, William, for a little bit, Enosh and Stella all were like chatting backstage. We ended up chatting backstage for a couple hours after the show, and they just kind of drew me more into the community. And then William, after a while, after I think I was about 3 or 4 months in, William started doing stuff on the Sci-Fi Center, his channel, and we were doing Sci-Fi Center Presents, which, comic book stuff and everything else. It's recorded things that we've done in the past. And I think we were doing a Watchmen thing, and he asked me if I wanted to be involved with it. And comic books are my thing, so I said, of course. And I've been doing stuff with William ever since. So
Yeah, you're his partner in crime.
Yeah.
Y'all make a great team. Anytime you're on, I know that the conversation is going to flow organically, going to keep it interesting. Even though I'm not like as big of a Star Trek head as like you, Brian, and William, I still feel like y'all make the content super accessible for just like, the surface head normie type of fans like me who aren't as like, clued in on like every episode or like every nuance and stuff. So yes, I just wanted to, shout y'all out for that. Y'all make an amazing, group of folks to keep the show alive.
That's kind of the point of what we do. If you can't make it accessible to the people that are normies, then, what are you doing? We do this nerd thing, and I'm sure everybody here on the panel can agree. We do this nerd thing so we can share things we love with people. And if you can't talk it up enough to bring in a normie, what are you doing? I've been doing this. I'm nearly 50. I've been doing this YouTube thing for like 3 or 4 years, but I've been doing the nerd thing for about 45 years. So, it's just easy for me to sit around and talk about it. It's like William and I have talked about before. Back in the day, before social media and everything, you had the shops, you had the comic book stores and everything else, and that's what you did. You sat around a table and you chatted with other nerds. You may not see these people but one time a week, but that's who you talk to, And I've noticed, engaging with the chat and everything, I try to keep it non-drama over on our channel, I try to keep it to where we don't get too much of a trouble, and that's, we kind of run a quiet ship over there, me and William, so.
Yeah, boring old people. That's where I'm aiming for.
Y'all, whenever y'all are on, I'm tuning in. Like, I don't care if it's like Star Trek or if it's the Midnight Run or if it's just, William's little 45-minute show that he does 3 times a week, which like all these shows compounded end up being like 5/7 of the week. So I'm watching William like, every other night, which is great because he's, delivering very insightful, interesting information. And he, like I said, he makes it very accessible for folks who are like me who aren't as clued in as him. So yes, I just wanted to shout him out for that too.
And that's what makes it really cool to work with William, is that, you always know if you're talking to William or if you're trying to talk to me about something, we're going to give you as close to as knowledgeable as we can. And with me at least, and I know William does it too, if we don't know something, we look it up while we're talking, and we try to make sure that we're giving you an honest appraisal of, what's going on. And it's really neat to work with William because while William's doing his thing and talking, I'm researching. Like, you'll hear tap, 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 tap. That's because I'm over here looking for stuff as he talks.
Or if I'm here, I just run to the shelf and grab whatever we're talking about.
And, I've gotten into doing the whole digital comic thing, and I've got, DC Universe Infinite, and I've got the Marvel Unlimited one, and he brings up a comic, I'm like, oh, this, click, and I bring up the picture of it or whatever off of my apps. So, we try to work. We work pretty well together. So it's kind of why I still do work with William, because he's even keel, he's easy to get along with, he's a good guy, and he trusts me for some weird reason.
We're still investigating all that right now. Hopefully the investigation just stays ongoing,
What's funny is that, like, I made this comment before in the chat, like, you and William run a tight ship over there, like, no nonsense, and keeping it on pace. Also, there's, whenever there's, like, comments and stuff like that, he's like, oh, Thade, Stella, pop that onto the screen. And I'm just like, oh, look at Captain William over here.
And that's the thing, that's kind of, Stella and I, we back William up. Stella mostly in the chats, sometimes with her own knowledge about the industry and everything else, and that's what we try to do. We try to, if you're not giving an honest appraisal of the show you do, then what are you doing? I mean, I get it. I get the sensationalist channels. I've been part of those channels before. I get the clickbait and everything, but that's just not what I do, and that's not what I'm comfortable doing. And I like the fact that William is on board with me on that. So, and that's why I trust working with William and Brian and a couple of other people. You get no nonsense from us. So, and that's what
sometimes, man. Come on, you candy coating it a little too much here, man.
There is levity. There is levity on William's show. Like, when he goes, like when he's talking with the chat organically, like whether it be about food or just other things that he's really passionate about that we wouldn't
cough serial killer stream. Anyway,
yes, the serial killer stream, and then like everyone is just going ham in the chat saying like, talk about this serial killer, talk about that serial killer. That was such a legendary stream for sure.
And I didn't even start out as a serial killer stream.
And I
forgot who brought that up. But,
and I missed that one, unfortunately. I was not feeling well that night. So, but yeah, I mean, like, it gets crazy, and that's another thing. We joke when it's appropriate, and we work with the chat. That's another good thing. You've got to work with your audience. And that's why I try to keep up with as much chat as I can.
No, you're in there, and on top of keeping it on track and letting people know boundaries and what the show is focusing on, I appreciate that a lot. Just, communicate with your audience, set, boundaries, set expectations on what topics are being covered, and make sure to hit all of those, goals as far as what you want to cover in a succinct amount of time. So, yes, props to y'all for doing that. And then speaking of audience engagement, Vince, what's up, my guy? I see you in the audience along with me all the time. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I'm glad you were able to pop on.
Yay, Vince!
Yeah, we don't get to have you on too often, so I'm glad I could drop you a link and come
Poor
through
guy
and
works
celebrate
too
us.
much.
Yes, you're working a bunch, dude.
I'm actually not working at the moment, but I have some interviews Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But thanks.
Booked
Yeah,
and
I was
busy.
gonna say I met William through the lounge. Like I'm pretty sure I've met all you guys through the lounge besides Perp. And honestly, I really just appreciate how grounded most of his takes are because as fans we can get carried away with what we want to see happen instead of what we the realist part of it. And honestly, like I really appreciate that him and him and Brian and Thade will actually cover Star Trek because it's not really something that you see a lot of in the community. So I've always appreciated that.
Right.
Being like huge into I'm really not even like a big DC fan. I'll watch the movies and stuff, but it's not something I really give a lot of second thought to. But as far as Star Trek and Star Wars go, that's like I'm right there.
Yeah, you get a full gambit of coverage on these other series that are happening, and William's super plugged in on them, like whether it be Star Trek, Star Wars, other sci-fi fantasy stuff. Yeah, definitely more into like the comic book movie stuff for sure. Obviously he has a lot to say about the DC side, and he's educating a lot of us on that too, including me. But yeah, he is super down to just talk about like any topic. Actually, I've gotten some like really good like in real life advice from William as well, and like business insight, like real estate. Like he's an encyclopedia on a lot of stuff. So yeah, I went to him for these questions that unfortunately I can't rely on family to answer these questions for me, and I'm sure like navigating life relying on William, and he's more than happy to help. But yeah, thank you so much for that, Vince. And,
and I was gonna add, I'd love to come on more, but I just never really feel like I would really add a lot to the conversation. So I don't want to, like what do you call it? Plug up the airway even more than it already is sometimes.
Oh no, I'm hosting, so we're keeping it. We're running a tight ship, like like the Hayden Williams. So don't have to worry about that. I wanted to include you because I see that you have you put a lot of value into the time that William does his content, and you're like me. You give him flowers, all the time, and show up for pretty much every show, even if it's just to say hi and pop back out. So yes,
yeah, absolutely. And I actually like a lot of his like social media when it pops up. I'll like the posts and stuff. Like I said, I really I appreciate
thank you for that.
William as a content creator and just as a person in general.
Definitely. I always say that William deserves to have more of an audience because he is able to carry a conversation. He's able to pull up information and speak on it to the best of his ability. And to Thade's point, he will acknowledge when, his knowledge base is limited and he can't speak to a topic too much. He's not someone who, is someone who kind of like fluffs up what he has to say in order to appear to be knowledgeable. He'll let you know, like, no, this is not something I'm like fully clued in on.
I want to point out that we do call him William the Wise.
Yes, certainly.
So
there's not too much that he doesn't know about, but when he does find something that is like not in his wheelhouse, he will acknowledge it directly, which I super appreciate. He's building trust with his audience by doing that. So yeah.
I wanted to add one other thing. I'm actually trying to get better as an editor, editing videos and stuff. And I'm thinking about just on the side editing some like Max and William videos just to show them and see if they might need a freelance free editor on the side doing in the future.
Sure.
Oh, dang. That's very awesome of you to be developing that skill. It's very valuable, so consider charging for that, definitely. I do not like the idea of someone doing free labor.
Make me look good, please.
It's more just about
charge Max double, please.
It's more about honing the craft before I actually charge anybody for, crappy work.
All labor is valid and deserves to be paid. I'm an advocate for that.
I agree.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming through, Vince. You're welcome to hang out if you like. And I'm just going to go around the horn and chat it up with people to give us their feedback on, their connection with William.
Well, thanks for having me. I think I'm going to pop off just because my social anxiety is kind of going off a little bit.
Okay.
I apologize. But yes, thank you so much for making bandwidth to join us. And we'll catch you later.
Yeah, we love you. We love you too, Vince. Man, you're one of the best.
I love you guys.
Thank
too.
you.
Have a good
Thanks for being a part of our community, Vince.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely. And Brian, Master of None, your turn to appreciate William, please.
All right. Well, I didn't mean to interject a little bit earlier, but I was like, yeah, that RVM stream was fun, man. That was cool. I enjoyed talking to him about Star Trek. He had a lot of good insight about a lot of the older stuff that was going down. How did I meet William? Well, as all y'all know, I can get around this little neck of the woods here. At the time, I was doing a lot of streams with Enosh after I'd get done with doing streams with Max. And one thing led to another, and William started popping up on Enosh's streams. And as soon as we started talking Star Trek, it was like, where you been all my life, man? Let's start talking. So it's just been a lot of fun talking Trek, shooting the proverbial, sheet, and I'm trying to keep it clean a little bit. Usually, I'm talking shop, and it's not good. I've also enjoyed the people I've met through all of this stuff, and it includes everybody on this panel. Everybody that I've worked with on one degree or another on this channel, on this panel right now. It's just been a hell of a lot of fun, and heck, I'm looking forward to more Star Trek. Hopefully, when Strange New Worlds comes out, it's not, that bad. I'm glad that I was on a lot of these streams and got the opportunity to meet people like William, who are just about it. And I need to get down there one of these days. My neighbor to the south there, in Vegas. There's only 2 cities in Nevada, and I live in one, and he lives in the other one. So, and if the Oakland A's go there, I'm gonna cry. But that's a whole nother story.
Dude, basically my whole East Bay identity is moving to Vegas, so I think that's a sign that I need to get over there, whether it be Summerlin or Henderson, Northwest Vegas.
Henderson's
I'm looking at all
bad.
those. Yeah. And I was asking William about that too. That's another one of those random life advice questions I hit him up for. It was what are some good
definitely save
areas
some
in
money,
Vegas?
but you definitely save some money, but it's 100-degree heat. You want to.
Well, I don't know. I'm from California, dude. It's 117 in Sacramento, dude, with a little bit of humidity.
Man, I'm considering taking that if my quality of life is going to go up, and there's a 50% or more, value of housing that I get compared to what I'm paying. So yes,
True.
there are some good reasons to consider it for sure. My plug for Vegas right there.
Hey.
But yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up, Brian, about how William is one of the key folks talking about Star Trek on this platform that we share that started for mostly comic book movie talk, but also just spreading awareness and making more inclusivity for folks of different nerd communities as well, and geeky interests too. So yeah, definitely something that we appreciate about William.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, last but not least, Little Movie Perp, how you doing? Little Raptor.
Hello.
Little Movie Raptor.
How's it going, everyone? William, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I have customers in the store. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm actually a big fan. I listen to your show a lot while I'm doing my morning routines. I happen to put you on. I don't engage in the chat. I don't know if anyone knows that, but I'm actually a big fan. So let me tell you the first encounter of William. So William goes on a stream. I don't know if it was this one or someone else's, and says he got a sneak peek to Top Gun's Maverick. And he said, it's going to blow everything away. Marvel doesn't stand a chance. It's going to be awesome. And I was laughing. I was like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Right? And I'm like, I get to the point where I'm saying, I'm trying to bet $200 that whatever the next Marvel movie was going to beat Maverick. Okay? So I appreciate that William did not see the chat and take that bet. All right? No, but seriously, I'm a big fan. Love your takes, love them all. I listen from front to back, even though I'm not a fan of what you're talking about, like a particular show or whatever. I find you very engaging. As people said, you have receipts. So yeah, just a big fan, man.
Thank you. And I wish I'd have seen that bet.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Oh yeah, speaking of these box office hot takes, that's probably one of the most engaging chat sort of, I use this word a lot, catalysts for folks to just very much get into these heated discussions, especially when he's on a panel with Max, for example. There was one that happened a couple of days ago where
we don't always agree, but I respect him a lot.
Yes, exactly. He's one of those folks that you one hot take that he has is that the Aquaman 2 is going to break $1 billion because there's going to be MILFs across the wrapped around the building to go see this movie multiple times. And I was just like, Momoa's not as hot as you think he is. Maybe not. Maybe back when the first Aquaman came out, that was a reason, because it was closer to when Game of Thrones was still being talked about heavily. But yeah, nowadays I don't know. Seeing him in Fast X, at least in the commercials,
You're making me feel old, Rhea.
He's not the babe magnet that
Momoa's no longer the hot stuff. Oh my goodness.
Well, we'll see what he looks like in Aquaman 2. But yeah, Fast X wasn't doing it for me. So I don't know.
Remember
what
the
Aquaman
hair
2 is
flip in
gonna
the
do.
first Aquaman? That was the $1 billion right there.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, William, if you're still there or helping out
I'm still here.
customers.
Yeah, I'm multitasking.
We have
Yeah.
some people in the chat that want to give you props too. No roasts yet. No roasts. Okay. Anthony Beltry, hello. Congratulations, William, on your appreciation stream.
Thank you,
Yay.
Anthony
Anthony.
Beltry. Super Mega Graphic 64, Cyrus. I got to run, but love the stream. Y'all stay cool. Thank for being a positive and wonderful force in the community. Great panel. DL. Appreciate you,
DL.
William. Wish I could be there. Love that you're a wealth of knowledge. Thanks for keeping the lights on at the Poindexter Lounge. LOL. That Vince is talking about Robert Burnett and Mad Die. I appreciate that. I won seeing the Batman from William. Cool.
Yeah, that's right. I sent
And
him,
the
I sent
Steelbook
him
for
the-
Strange New Worlds. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those precisers are
I sent
super
him
bad.
to Batman when they first came out. I remember that now.
Hank Deasy, very fun to watch. And I disagree with 70% of William's takes, but he's excellent and entertaining in his beliefs.
Thank
Yes,
you very
like
much.
I
Damn,
just want to say,
calculated.
like, to his credit, like, you know, his entire, you know, career is being a salesman at the end of the day. Like, yeah, he's a geeky comic book, you know, shop owner, but yeah, his bread and butter is being a salesman. So although he has some spicy takes here and there that, you know, may or may not resonate with some of us, like, we're still compelled to listen to him and, you know, go through the, you know, the logic that he presents, and again, the receipts that he's able to back up his argument with. So yeah, like, someone who is able to, like, you know, like, what's an appropriate comparison, like selling snow to a polar bear or something, you know, like, he has that, you know, aptitude to just, you know, convince you of something that you may not have ever been able to even believe in your mind before, or even have any sort of, like, cognition of being possible. So yeah, I just, you know, that's another thing too that y'all reminded me of.
Yeah, I love that he's just in the like, even right now he's in the trenches. He's multitasking nerd.
Yes.
He's like selling. He's having a store open. He's on a live stream. Like, wow.
And he has
couldn't do
another
all that.
live stream lined up
Yes.
right after this. Yeah. Yeah.
9:30. I'll break before that, but
Oh yeah,
our-
definitely.
Our usual overnight Saturday thing.
I can't wait for that one too.
I kind of have a question for William. What's the secret of your success? Because sometimes it's hard for comic book stores. I know you do other things too. You have the theater. How have you found your niche and success and being a store owner and everything too?
you just have to diversify and understand what's selling, what's not, and what to be into and what not to be into. If comic books aren't selling, comic book adjacent things are, like, okay, if the paper medium's not selling, pop figures are selling, toys are selling, figures are selling, posters are selling, shirts, things that the general audience, because the majority of your general audience that goes to see these movies will never pick up a comic book, but they may walk into a comic book store because it's near something that they go to every day. So you just have to be able to sell to the other 97%. And if you do that, then it doesn't matter whether the paper medium is strong or not. You want it to be, but it's no longer to the point where volume of sales and comics are going to carry you past the finish line. You have to be into a lot of different things to lead them to you. And you have to use social media to the point where you're a part of people's day. Even if they don't make it down to you, you're still a part of their day. I mean, there's people, all over the world, because it's Vegas, they come and go, that still make the connection. Even if they're not here, they can still order stuff, they can still buy stuff, they can still plan trips, you just have to be constantly outreaching. It used to be you had to have the best location in town, but after all those guys go out of business, you have to be able to outreach, and you have to be able to connect what you're doing to what an everyman is doing. And that's basically it.
Oh, really quick, you had a really big event happen near you. Did you want to sort of tell us about that and how that helped you at all, or how it impacted you?
Yeah, Dead Mouse was out here. They do an event out here on Dead Mouse. The guy who wears the big light up hat, or big light up mouse ears and stuff. Yeah, he was out here, and they did the county held like a celebration. He was out here, and they did Burning Man stuff out here. There was all kinds of crazy stuff. It was a complete setup. It's on my social media. If you look at my my Instagram account. I filmed a lot of
That
it.
looked pretty cool. I was
did,
gonna say
yeah.
it was like an EDM fest. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, there was like
it-
12,000 people, right?
Yeah, it was somewhere at come and got. I would guess a little bit less than that. But what they did is, like I said, they put it together in a short notice, and EDM is here now this weekend, and it is going on for today, actually yesterday, today, and Sunday. So a lot of the people who are going to EDM are already made their plans because you're getting 3 days off of work. So for what it was, asking people to get a fourth day off from work, coming and going, they still drew a lot of people. And they had Mike D from the Beastie Boys was here he was on the DJ booth as well. So yeah, it was fun to see that many people out here. But yeah, it's EDC is always wild out here.
What was the foot traffic like? I remember mentioning. Yeah, go ahead.
Because he was performing right outside our door, like about 100 feet away from our door. A lot of the people got gathered up here, so we had a lot of walkthrough just from people coming to see his, be that close to the stage. Because that was the best view in the house for them. So yeah, like I said, it was a positive for me. So I was happy to have it. I didn't have to pay one dime to have it happen. All I had to do was prop open my door, and hand out business cards.
No, that's rad. And speaking of your Instagram, you've been sharing a lot of that delicious Sister Kim's food. Like you convinced me to try the chili covered pastrami, which was like amazing. Yes, it was the most beautiful plate of food I've ever seen.
That sounds awesome.
And it tasted great. And he just posted like a picture of some amazing looking catfish with French fries and
fish and shrimp combo. Yep.
yes,
Good
yeah,
ass food
just
down there.
God, you're eating good, man. They're taking care of you.
I'm taking care of them. the revenue I'm putting into that place.
Yeah,
since
that's
they've been
definitely a
open.
go-to for me next time. I'll get my Dutch Bros. Oh yeah, so like I don't know if a lot of folks are familiar with Dutch Bros, but it's this awesome regionally known coffee brand that has been expanding out more into the east. And William had never tried them before, even though there's like 5 different locations in Las Vegas and one pretty close to him. So I treated him to a frozen blended coffee drink that had vanilla and caramel in it, and he gave it a rave review, like even better than Starbucks, which is kind of a low bar already.
Dutch Bros is miles ahead of Starbucks.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah, I had never had. I mean, they literally they have one out here, like right where there's everywhere there's a Starbucks. There's like a Dutch Brothers windmill. I just never, broke the habit.
Yeah, no, I treated him, and then I also treated Lloyd Kaufman. So yeah, it was a nice treat for me to get him to give a review on camera as well that I was able to share with him or share with other folks. So thank you for that too. But yeah, we're joined by CJH. How are you doing tonight, my guy?
Hello. Hello.
Are you okay?
Wow.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sound like you fell out of your chair, dude.
Oof. But yeah, thank you for joining us for William's appreciation stream. And yeah, we'd love to kind of get your fun anecdotes and things that you appreciate about William out into the world, if you don't mind.
Well, I always see him on Enosh's or Poindexter Lounge, and I also see him here on MME. And he has lots of good takes and lots of insight on box office. Such.
Definitely great box office talk. Definitely one of the cornerstones of what a lot of people tune in for, because he can talk at length, yet it's like I said, it's not fluff, it's not conjecture like another person had mentioned as well. And yeah, Brucifer, you mentioned that. And yeah, like it's very just compelling knowledge that he's able to bring to the table. Like, although to Hank Deasy's point, some of it may not, resonate with all of us. Like I've said before, like I'm still very much, plugged in to at least hear him out.
I think he tries to remove emotion from his talking points. Like some of us get too emotionally biased, and I think he just tries to talk about the money and.
Never,
Oh,
I've
come
never
on.
done that. I've never done that.
Never,
Come on.
never.
Bias.
Never.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah.
Never.
No,
Emotionally biased.
Yeah.
Emotionally biased.
I'm equal.
Yeah, with certain things. He
I would say
Kidding.
Oh, sorry, what was that, William?
my feelings don't pay bills. I've learned.
Oh yeah, definitely. So like William,
So true.
like your whole like business model is around, you know, geeky interests and stuff, yet you're so just, you know, driven by just like the facts and like, yeah, just what it boils down to money wise. So yeah, how does like is your, you know, savviness with business informing you about some of your takes, or is it separate like from your knowledge?
It's one and the same, because listen, a fan has a luxury and can say stuff and have people forget about it and go on to the next stream or go on to the next person and say something completely different. But there's no commitment when you're just, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with fans being fans. But where the frictional with whenever I have an issue, whenever my ears are perk up, when I hear someone put together the basis of thought based on purely a fan and not realize that money does matter. And when you make decisions in contrast to math, like I always say, math is undefeated. That's one, and I over and over again, math doesn't lose to fans. Math doesn't lose to dumb executives. And if you look at the last 10 years, all the dumb executives that fought math are gone. All right. And see, those guys get held accountable, because if they're wrong, they get fired. Or if I'm wrong on something, if I order something that doesn't sell, I take a hit. You know, that's a bill that's not getting paid. So when you're talking about like whether, you know, like what we were talking about last night with Max with the whole BVS thing, that's the difference between good management and bad management. You have to know when you have something. You have to know when you have something, no matter what it is, whether you're selling lemonades, pop figures, or movies. If you have something that works one time and then it works more the second time, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that there needs to be a third time and a fourth time and a fifth time until that trend changes. And what we've got caught up in this community, and more so in 2013, 2016, more than anything, is we see these movies as if they're sports teams or something, you know, and that's what a lot of DC movies felt the brunt of. You had a lot of Marvel marks back then that just were never going to give these movies a chance no matter what. It was, they had their jersey on and that's what they were going to do. And no matter how many times that they told you that I gave it a complete, they're full of shit, they didn't. And you have to be able to spot that in order to have a coherent conversation with somebody. You know, I mean, if you look at, you know, like we were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm looking at the numbers of Guardians of the Galaxy. I keep hearing that's a success, and I saw the movie. I enjoyed the movie. But when you're dropping 250 million without ad budget, we're not talking about the 125 million for stuff like this and other things that we got, and you're at 500 million. I'm not popping any party favors for that yet. Because if it was a DC film, that would have gotten someone fired. You see what I mean? It's just like, so you have to put your mind where the money is, and you have to identify the people who are not. And some of those people are running the show. Toby Emmerich couldn't see where the money was at. You know, Ann Sarnoff, those guys like that, you know, couldn't see where their money was at. And they created a situation, you know, and then like I said, conversely, fans will tell you how they feel about a movie, and that's cool. But, you know, nothing is concrete until the next movie. I don't care what, you know, James Gunn could come out and like Moses and put everything he's going to do from 2004 beyond in stone tablets. And if The Flash makes $1 billion or 1.2 billion, those tablets get dropped and 2 new ones get picked up with some new stuff on them. So the money does matter. And on this, you know, more so than anywhere.
No, I totally hear what you're saying, and this is a discussion that is reoccurring, especially like on your platform or when you're hosting your show and you're able to carry those points with multiple different examples, not just, you know, in terms of like BVS, but also just like with, you know, past and current comic book movies and the fallout of, the quote unquote failure at whether it be the box office or critical reception, resonance. Blaming The Rock, which is the all-time silliest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, no, I don't blame The Rock at all. Like I speak at length about, you know, I think that he was, you know, he had the best interests in mind about, you know, keeping alive what, you know, we had left of the DCEU. So yeah, that's my personal, like, I guess, hot take if I had to give one too.
Well, what do you think happens if Blue Beetle fails.
William, do you have a take on that?
Nothing because no one knows or cares. Not knocking Blue Beetle, but Blue Beetle is not gonna. It's not gonna move the needle for anybody one way or the other. You can use it as an accent piece, as other things, but it's not like people. The shareholders aren't sitting at the edge of their leather couches wondering, wow, Blue Beetle doesn't make it. Are we going on the right direction? They're waiting for the Flash. No, seriously. They're waiting for what the Flash does to determine, where the company is going and what they can exploit. And that's why I always tell people that if you want, something to continue or be resolved, this is your shot. This is the only movie that's been released in the last 5 years where your actual attendance might make a difference in the trajectory of the corporate company.
No, not at all.
Wait,
Yeah.
Brian, can you say more about why you disagree?
Because they're already going a different direction. Why would they
Money.
like, oh, well, we got a gold mine here, let's get everybody back? It's not gonna happen.
Exactly. You say that in jest, but
I am,
once
but
again,
I don't give it. No. I'm not going to
Feelings and
entertain. I'm not going
emotions.
to entertain it. It's cool.
yeah, and that's another thing about fans.
We're good.
Hold on, as fans, with no money in the game, we can dismiss it. We can all dismiss it. But the shareholders,
Yes.
the investors, the people who are paying for this and will be paying for what's
Yeah,
coming.
but they don't care. They care about money, though. They don't care about what direction the fucking
but if
movies
something
go.
hold on. If something makes money, if you have a trend in front of you, what I always do, here's this remote in front of you, right? The Flash is this remote in front of me. This is as close to good money as I have, right? So its projections is a lot closer. Now, I'm off screen. You guys can't see off screen. But let's go further than off screen. That's Superman legacy money. That's maybe money. Now, what does the greedy guy do? He goes for the money that he can sniff, he can touch. He's not going for that money around the corner, that obscured money. That's great. He's got that money here. That's what greed is. Greed is maximizing on trends while they're in front of you, while you have them. All right? That's how greed works in every walk of life.
I think like the happy medium between Brian and William, at least like as I can discern it, is like William, to your point, the Flash can definitely influence the future slate for sure, and then give us more hope to see reoccurring characters like Ezra's Barry and Sasha Calle, Sasha Calle, like, things like that. So like, Brian, if I had to sort of like, gently, encourage you to, be like open to the possibility of like at least reoccurring characters influencing this future slate, I think that would be more reasonable to expect. Would you agree?
Sure, but I'm like I said, it's nothing against anything personal, and yes, I am putting a little bit of emotion in it. But with regards to this conversation, it's just been done over and 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 over again. So it's like I'm just beyond exhausted. So if I get more Ezra, fantastic. If they show up, I mean, it would make sense. They haven't talked about who they're casting as the Flash yet. You know what I mean? I'm sure that would influence it. And if that's what you mean, sure. But like, what I heard from that is they're going to bring the gang back if the Flash. And I am so beyond sick of hearing that.
I don't think anyone
Reed,
here is saying that necessarily. Some reoccurring characters.
I'm
maybe.
sure some people were thinking it though. Okay,
That's why I was
But the
thinking,
people who
like,
really need to be thinking
like
it
Henry
are the people who
Cavill and all
spend the
that.
money.
that's what CJ was thinking.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's examine that though a little bit. I think it's just carte blanche for Muschietti. What does Muschietti want to do? What characters does he want to? I mean, working with James Gunn and the way James Gunn's been like propping this movie, I'm sure I would assume that Gunn will accommodate whatever Project Muschietti wants to do. I mean, unless Ezra's really that great that they're going to be like, oh, the reason it got success is because Ezra's performance. But I think it's the craftsmanship of Muschietti, as far as I can tell. I mean,
go beyond that.
There's some people that are really saying Ezra did a great job, but
Yeah,
I think it's just they're surprised about the quality of the movie, and that's rare for DC. You go with I think that's what will change. I'm not saying bring back the whole gang, Brian. I'm saying Muschietti got carte blanche. What does he want to do next? His next project? What characters does he want? And then you consider it. That's all.
Wait,
important
aren't you the same one that had? I'm sorry.
One person at a time.
Sorry about
So
this, CJ.
yeah, go ahead.
Who's going? I'll go.
Bruce?
Oh yeah, Brucifer, you want to?
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
I'm like, Max, didn't you have the turkey up behind you last night when we had the same
Absolutely.
conversation?
I think there was something to the turkey, and things changed consistently in the movie. And I don't know why people
Even
don't
people
understand
like
this.
Max, even though he's not admitting it right now, do that stuff. Okay, I'm on these streams. I know he hasn't given up his hope.
Listen, it's a fun
Yes.
thing, you know. I love Max. I love his passion. You know, I'm like he's one of my closest friends on this platform, and
Mine
again, he's one of those folks I don't necessarily agree with all the time, but I value his commitment to what he believes in, and that's true for a lot of different people. Certainly, like with William, that you know, he's able to back up, you know, what
Okay,
he
I think-
has to
okay.
say.
I'm not like, okay, I think I might be coming off wrong. I am not disparaging anyone by any stretch. Okay, like, and I feel like that's where.
No,
Yeah.
the most important people in this conversation are
I-
people we don't know.
Well, I
We don't
know,
what
and
the-
I'm
the
just a
stuff-
dude that works in
the
an
stuff
auto parts store and doesn't know anything about the business end of things. You know, all I know is just from what I talk about with
mean,
my friends.
There might be
And
a
it's just like-
misconception that I'm holding. I'm not holding out hope for the Snyderverse. I'm more like I'm more holding out hope that the Muschietti verse would continue. You know?
Where'd that come from?
No, I mean I think I don't care if
Okay,
people
okay,
want to try.
I'm done. I'm
Love
sorry.
you guys. Love you.
I
guys.
don't
You guys
care
ready
if
for the
people want
roast?
to try. I
I'm
retweet.
good.
I retweet things.
You don't
Well,
care
let's-
if
Well,
Lois
let's
and
like
Batman-
for the sake of Brian, you know, still being here because I really love when
No,
you know,
I'm not
Brian does
leaving.
stick
I'm not
around.
leaving. I'm just gonna
Okay.
stay here. I just don't have anything.
Follow
to
the money.
contribute.
That's all I'm gonna say.
We're good.
No matter where
Yep.
it leads,
Yep.
follow the money.
But my question was whether or not like Henry would they bring back Henry or Ben if they
I-
were to follow the money.
Here's the thing about that. And this is not a James Gunn thing. This is not a fan thing. This is a just outright studio executive type thing. If an Academy Award winning level director or actor comes to you and says, I want to do a project, it would have to be up to them. Like a Ben Affleck, who is an Academy Award winner. Well, if you're Warner Brothers and you spent the last 9 years burning all kinds of bridges and chasing talent away, you are going to find a way to make that happen. Right? You're going to find a way to make that happen. You will do it because you are not going to want that guy to go over to Universal or in Ben Affleck's case, just take it to his own studio. You're going to be the one that wants to distribute that movie. You're going to be the one that's lets your the people watching it. It's okay to come back to Warner Brothers. It's okay, Christopher Nolan, if you want to make another movie with us, we want to become that place that Romanoff made us back in 2004 to 2011. You know, so as far as anybody coming back, if it's going to be up to them if they want to, but if somebody with the stature of Ben Affleck and someone in his circle wanted to do something, the execs, not James Gunn, the execs, Zaslav boss, who is the chairman of the board, who can call votes to actually get rid of Zaslav if it ever came to that. Those guys are going to put the pressure on. See, most of the decision making that will come from the Flash will have nothing to do with like us or even James Gunn. Because that guy doesn't have to answer to the guy who has the dividends, the guy who's investing, the people who put up the borrowed money for these movies and that get their money back with interest. Those guys are going to be first in line to have that question answered. And if they see money, they're not going to see, like I said, with the whole Ezra thing, you think some guy in a golf cart out on Beverly Hills who's hedging his funds gives a rat ass what fans think about Ezra's transgressions if that movie makes money? No, that's what greed is. That's what greed allows you to do. It allows you to make decisions based on things that may not matter to other people. So, and to answer that question, yeah, I think there's all things are on the table when it comes to that level of talent wanting to work with Warner Brothers again. And if Ben Affleck comes and says, "I want to do a Batman project," you think Zaslav is gonna say no and let him go somewhere else and make a big movie when he's
And
hemorrhaging people?
what if Andy after Flash? Flash is a huge success. He wants to do a Batflick movie. Do they do it?
It's probably that's as good as done as I can think. I would guess that
Yeah.
would be something that would get greenlit.
Yeah.
Because you're going to want to keep Muschietti and you're going to want to keep all those people. You have to turn the trend around about how they've treated their directors the last 9 years. Ever since Tishihara took over, it's been a litany of mistakes that they've made with their directors and their producers and everybody else. And at some point, they got to turn the corner with that. And no time like the present.
I think Hank in the chat is, I think he's bringing up some decent points that we should probably just acknowledge and get your take on, William. Like in regards to like the critical acclaim of Oscar-winning talent potentially being willing to work with WB or DC again, that kind of is counter to what you were saying about following the money. So like even though Ben Affleck's latest film Air failed financially, it's still critically heralded. So are you saying that?
And he's made his money. He's done his bit in Hollywood. He's not an on the fence director where it's like, ooh, I wonder if this guy can make a hit. He's done it. He's already done it. He's a proven winner. And as far as the question, as far as the WB's not or DC Studios is not the only studios in WB, it's the most valuable one at the moment as far as ceiling and IP and revenues go. As far as what they can do consistently. Because even if you look at the other ones that they have, the consistency and the frequency that DC Studios can give you if you're trying to make that kind of money, that's the IP. There are other things inside of WB and other studios around there, but unless you want to go and work for Disney and and deal with that, then right now this not only is DC with the best one, it's the most open and fertile one right now.
Well,
the ground's still being made.
Their Harry Potter IP.
Yeah, but their money's coming. You got video games. It's a little bit more spread open. And then once again, how many comic book movies can you release a year if you're doing it right? If you're releasing 3 to 4 good ones, and then the add-on money, and then video games on that. I mean, and I don't think Ben Affleck's doing Harry Potter anytime soon.
I would kind of
Also,
say that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Thade.
I'd like to point out, it's something we say on the show, William and I often. As fans, as the core of nerddom over here, we're only like 1% of what makes money for these movies, okay? And we may get emotional about it, but honestly, our emotions don't matter to the box office. When you've got the general public is what's mostly attaching with these movies, they're where 98% of your movie budget is coming from, okay? You may not agree with the MILF thing, Rhea, but it kind of pays the bills. When you've got, I know a lot of women who follow Henry. I know a lot of women who follow Jason Momoa. I know a lot of women who follow Ben Affleck. And when you've got those players on the field, mom is going to take her kids to the movie so she can goggle these guys for a couple hours. Okay? That's also why mom is going to...
Guess who's coming with her?
Exactly. And also, but that also leads to merchandising too. That also leads to the kids gonna get what they ask for. If the parents connect with these movies, it's easier for you to buy stuff for your kids if you also connect with what they've seen or whatever. You don't have to question it so much because you went to the movie with them. So the merchandise is okay. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you. Yeah.
And that's where a lot of this money comes from that these companies make, that these production companies make especially. It's not from the movie. In all honesty, it's the merchandising. It's the residuals. It's everything outside of it. It's basically what the writers and everybody are fighting for in these strikes right now. Everything that comes outside of just what that box office makes. These movies don't just sit on a shelf for a year. Okay? They're continuously making money years down the road. For example, Batman, 1989. Recently, they put out a comic called Batman 89, which continues that story. So 30 years later, it's still making money somehow, okay? So you got these movies that sit there, and as long as the merchandise is still being sold, that's where the money's being made.
No, totally fair point. Especially when it's such a pop culture, I'm using this word again, tentpole, where it is transcending generations and directly influencing pop culture to this day. Like we're seeing Michael Keaton's Batman in The Flash, and I personally haven't seen like a stall necessarily in revering 1989 as a lot of people from Gen X's introduction to Batman and this sort of cinematic, expressive sort of like interpretation of him, and then following the different interpretations down the road. William, I don't know if you have something to say about that.
I was kind of surprised about that because I was worried, because when they first heard Michael Keaton was going to be in it, this is before I saw the trailers and before I actually saw, and the plot was starting to come together. Because if you were born on the day that Michael Keaton first appeared or last appeared on the screen as Batman, you're hitting 30 right now, and you've had other Batman in your zeitgeist that are more relevant to you than the 70-year-old man that they're about to put on the screen. So I was kind of worried about that. It's like nostalgia is like a bomb. It's like a time bomb. If you pull the right wires, everybody's going to be okay. You pull the wrong ones, everything gets blown up. So it looks like they've handled the nostalgia here in a way that that might just work. I mean, we'll see on Monday because that's when we're going to see it. But like I said, I know the marketing for it, is centric. But from what I hear from people who saw it at CinemaCon, it's not just there for nostalgia. Michael Keaton's Batman actually makes sense to the story, so I'm okay with it there. So this kind of nostalgia. Now, I don't want Michael Keaton going forward, because as much as I love Michael Keaton and respect him as an actor, I want somebody at Barry oldest is 40 in Batman, because that's he needs to be able to do certain things.
Don't the MILFs like Michael Keaton too?
The upper scale of the MILFs do, but your MILF magnet is stronger with Momoa's 42 years than they are with Keaton's 71 years.
Wouldn't that be gilfs?
Yes, I was gonna say it. I thought it.
I wasn't gonna add the D.
Thade, were you gonna say something?
Well, I was just saying, look, we still got people talking about Christopher Reeves from '78. Okay.
Yeah.
We still got people that bring up '66 Batman. Okay. These things stay in the zeitgeist and in your head, even if you weren't there for them. You may have had a parent that showed you these things, or my first encounter with Superman was the old Fleischer cartoons, and I still remember those, and I showed those to my own kids. So you have a generational thing, especially with nerd culture, but you have a generational thing. A lot of the stuff that I was into, my father showed me. I'm into science fiction because my dad had the novels in the house. I'm into these movies because my father put them in front of me. I'm into Star Trek because that was something I watched with my father. And that's where you get a lot of these generational, like you said earlier, generational catches to these things. And I may not be as into DC as a lot of the people on the panel are, because I think personally WB is screwed up over the last 30, 40 years. But I still think of these things, and I've still watched these movies. I was there for Superman 78. I was there for Batman 89. I was there for, Brandon Routh in the 90s, 90s, early 2000s, wherever. I was there for Smallville. I was there for all of these shows and movies and stuff that have come out over the years. So a lot of these things I remember. And the power of memory is a very strong thing. If your parents remember something, your grandparents remember something, and they shared those things with you, you're going to resonate with them, one way or the other. Regardless of whether you were in that spot or not, or old enough to see those things originally. If it's something that's shared with you, especially from like a parent or a grandparent, it's going to resonate with you, and you're going to be more likely to share that with your own kids. The proof is in the pudding, and this goes for the general audience as well, not just us nerds, but the general audience as well. You take a thing and you remember a thing, memory is very strong. Just saying.
No, you're totally right. And Anthony Beltry in the chat brought up some really good examples, actually. The general audience love nostalgia. No Way Home, Top Gun Maverick, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom made a ton of money because of nostalgia. Yeah, and then the Hollywood, Halloween recent trilogy, which I got into a heated argument with William in the chat about how it restored cognition of like that franchise for a lot of people. Oh, and the Scream franchise too. Yeah.
Dreadful movie. Like we know that Superman Legacy is coming out regardless because James Gunn is writing the script as we speak.
Yeah.
But the question is, will he be forced to have like Cavill as Superman? in that movie? Or
No, what I think would happen. Here's what I think is going to happen. I saw somebody say, "Oh, it's Snyder versus Dead, bury it." Now, when you say stuff like that,
Kamari.
yeah, no, that's cool. But I'm going to use him as an example.
He says that every day.
Yeah,
In every chat.
Now, yeah,
every
yeah, and it's like, just like Integrity 101 says, it's inevitable. It's like it, but once again,
They're the same person.
I think so.
I'm just kidding. I'm
that'd
just
be
kidding.
hilarious if it was. But
That would be hilarious.
it comes down to what makes business sense, what you can make money on, and what costs and all that. There's a lot of things that come in. I think Superman Legacy really needs to happen, to be honest with you, because I think the majority of us don't want what we want at the exclusion of all else. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone and enjoyed the Batman. I've gone and seen all these movies since the last time they actually did something from that universe. So it's not at the exclusion of all else. Now, if you're from the business point of view, you don't drop one steak because you got small hands. You use both your hands to get both of them. Get greedy. If there's money to be made off of Cavill, make it, even if it's just resolving it. Make the money. You could still make money off of it. And that's the one thing that DC has not done and has been poor at it over this entire time, is they have not used their multi-generational assets that they have. The fact that my grandfather was collected Action Comics. My dad picked up Superman. I picked it. You're talking about 3 generations. Some people still have 3 to 4 generations that are still around on this earth. And DC has never made the conscious effort to access them simultaneously. It was all or nothing. So if you want Superman Legacy, that means you can't have anything else, so don't watch Lois and Clark or Superman and Lois, or don't watch anything else other than that. That's narrow-minded, and that kind of narrow-minded usually leads you to the path of bankruptcy, or executives getting fired in studios that were sold for 74 billion being sold for 43 billion. That main train of thought is what got them where they are. So I would like to see them do as many different things as possible. I have room in my mind for a different Batman, and another Batman, or 2 different Superman. I mean, fans aren't. I know we make fun of fans, and fans are a lot of things, but you're as dumb as your storyteller is. It's up to your storyteller to make this work for you. That is their job,
I have a question for William. It's based on a news coming out. What do you think the streamers are getting wrong with all this stuff? Is it? I'm kind of thinking, without your answer first, I'm kind of thinking, like, just like you said, why did they think Black Adam was going to make so much? Like, why did they think Willow was going to be so successful? I like Willow. Does everything need to be a franchise? What do you think the streamers are doing wrong? And now they have to, all this original content they've been doing all these years to bump up their subscriber, now they're just removing stuff consistently.
Well, the wrong thing that they did, let's say in case of Black Adam, it kind of leads to why the last gets it's another comic book based thing. But when in the case of something like Black Adam, it's a matter of, you have to understand that the engine that drives the universe that Black Adam exists in is something you've been running away from too long. You cannot do Black Adam, you cannot do Polka Dot Man, you can't do Weasel until you have Batman's house in order. You can't do, Huntress and Harley Quinn and Fantabulous, whatever the hell that was, without your Trinity in order, because that is the sun that your solar system revolves around. So when you try to do these things out of order, you have no momentum, and it just doesn't work. Now, when it comes to Willow, that's just a bad decision. It would be different if it was like something you had 30 years of history with. You have one movie with Willow. You literally have one movie. That's your sample. Your sample of Willow. So that should have never been greenlit. And in all these other ones, there's no history behind it. There's not a bunch of people saying, damn, when's the next Black Adam happening? Black Adam's a complementary character. That's not a mainline character. You have to understand that.
Do you think it's I was gonna say, do you think it's like an industry trend, or like they're trying to, we can make everything a franchise, everything a show, and that's part of the problem? Like,
If I had to interject really quick before William gets his take. It's just, you know, cynical marketing, and like it's just, you know, fodder to, like Max, to your point, to continue to get watch time up, continue to try and get more subscribers. And again, it's all about watch time and engagement. They want you to keep you captive on the app for as long as possible. That's why a lot of these shows autoplay. If you just are binging or you fall asleep, like that's, you know, where they're able to kind of point to their, you know, board of directors and their investors saying, we've got all these watch hours, you know, like, and continue to get financing from that and continue to operate. So yeah, anyway, William or the chat, if y'all want to take it from there.
I was going to say one more thing before William. You know, the big problem with the streaming services over the last couple of years is this whole concept of the streaming wars. They were pumping out way too much content so they could try to beat out, you know, like you were saying with investors, they're trying to beat out the other groups. This is why we got over the last 2 years so much content. You know, not only were a lot of us, because of a pandemic, not going to the movies, but if it's easy to put something on a streamer and then you can add like 5 or 6 shows to complement that one movie, they're going to try to glut the system to try to beat the other shows. It's overcompensation. So a lot of these shows, like William said, Willow should have never been made. Even though I personally liked it, it shouldn't have been made. You know, and also another thing that I want to point out, and this is again where our community so much does the whole, oh my God, the sky is falling, which is why I don't put a whole lot of truck in those articles, is you got Disney Plus is about to add Hulu to their app, okay? So a lot of things have to move and go away because they're going to bring a whole lot more content in. Over the next... We'll just put in place with WB, when they make their switch over from HBO Max to just Max on the 25th of this month, there's a lot of things that are leaving because Discovery Plus is coming into WB, into the Max label. They're adding, for the next 22 days after that, they're adding 10 or 11 shows or movies at a time after they drop about 50. So it's not like... It looks scary that they're dropping 50 or 60 shows or 20 or 30 shows, but what they're really doing is they're making room so they can add other content.
Well, do you think the problem has been that they haven't got digital copies or physical copies of these shows that they put on the stream?
Now that is a problem. That's why you should always push for for physical media. You know, William makes a point about a lot of the time about physical media. You're going to lose a lot of this stuff if it doesn't get kicked down to other like streamers. Some of this stuff is, by the way, getting kicked down to like Tubi and stuff like that. Like the free streamers. A lot of the time, these companies will move things around to other streamers. You just have to follow where it goes. It's not gone forever. It's just somewhere else.
Right, because they make more money off of licensing than trying to push it on their own platform, because I have a theory that like there's so much congestion of content that on these single platforms, and it'll be even, you know, more congested with the merging of, you know, Hulu and Disney Plus, as well as with WB and Discovery. So how are you going to give, you know, enough real estate and awareness to all this content that you acquired other than through licensing, where I feel like Pluto and Tubi do a lot better as far as like highlighting their content, because it's somewhat limited and it's kind of it's somewhat exclusive. They have their own exclusive content on there too, but I think that they do a much better job at bringing awareness to content than all these other platforms do that boast quantity over quality necessarily.
But
Also, like,
writers right now
sorry.
is going to affect a lot of that going forward as well.
The amount of
Because,
content we get going forward, yeah.
Well, because everything you keep on, the negotiation of how much. Okay, so if I'm going to keep Willow on there, and if I'm not getting the views, and I still have to pay somebody residuals for having it on my streaming service, how am I going to greenlight, you know, something? I mean, I have to constantly keep it in and out of a rotation, or I have to pay people. See, there's a lot of it that's in COVID. Really, the streaming bubble has not popped, and people are, you know, and like I said, when I heard Zaslav say we're going to put our content, we're going to put the theaters and the cinemas first. He said that here at CinemaCon in an auditorium of desperate people whose livelihood are connected to the theater industry being kept alive. But in all honesty, it's going to get cut in half. It's just no way around that. And like I said last night, you're going to have families of 4 who are going to have to make a decision between 2 really good movies that they want to see simply because finances will not allow for it. So the streaming model is here to stay. Now you're seeing them make an adjustment because of COVID. You know, they overshot. It's like I said, that time traveler that went to the future and saw what things are going to be and then came back. And now he's back in reality. But the future is 50% of roughly 50% of the theatrical revenue is going to go away. And you're going to see things like Top Gun Maverick. You're going to see the heavy stuff. But here's the thing. The good thing about that is a lot of these independent things that get made for streaming wouldn't be justified. You wouldn't be able to justify a budget if you didn't have a streaming platform because they're not all going to the movies. There's a lot of stuff on Netflix and some of these streamers that people work hard in putting together that will never make it onto a theatrical screen. And we may never see those things. So I'm all for it. I mean, but like I said, you go to the theater, a family of 4 with popcorn and everything else, you're in for 3 digits.
Well,
you know, how many times can you do that?
Do you think that like the amount of streaming services that we have creates more piracy?
People are going to do it anyway.
Not necessarily, because when Game of Thrones is the most pirated TV show in history, didn't hurt them one bit.
It's successful too, yeah.
So many people still lawfully subscribe to HBO and HBO Max.
That's why I still have HBO.
Exactly.
That's the only reason
is not going to hurt them.
I think the accessibility of the app and like a lot of like folks who do have access to those streaming platforms get them through other service providers, whether it be their internet
AT&T.
provider or their, you know, cellular service. So yeah, CGH, if I had to like throw my 2 cents in, it's these services are either, you know, granted with existing services that you pay for already, or the cost of admission is basically the price of a movie ticket for some areas. So paying for the movie versus, you know, getting a whole library of content you can watch anytime, pause, and, you know, jump back into. I think that is more of an incentive for folks to just, you know, pay that entry fee versus, you know, going through hoops to pirate something.
And I made that point the other night, what you just said.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I made that very same point. Why pay the $20 or $30 even for one person to go to the movies when you can pay that for a streaming service and get thousands of things to watch?
Yep.
And for the streamers themselves, like I always said, like I said, Zazoff, he said what he had to say because he had a bunch of starving wolves with their ribs showing that were like, please give us a bone with a little bit more meat on it than the last one. We're starving here. We need something. He gave them, you know, a Scooby snack. One Scooby snack for thousands of people that were there. Because when you do the math, so an average streamer is costing you, let's say median in $15 to $17 a month, right? So if you get 75 million subscribers a month, do the math, the monthly math on that. There's nothing that you could distribute throughout the year combined that is going to get you that kind of money. Now, when you look at, it made $1 billion. Everybody, fans like, hey, it made $1 billion, right? It's doing great, right? Okay, so many people have to eat at the table before that $1 billion gets back to the shareholders and everybody else. 33% off the top is going back to the actual theaters themselves. All right, that borrowed money, that interest on the borrowed money, that gets paid back top first dollar. Bonuses, heaven forbid if you got like a Tom Cruise or somebody on there or somebody of that stature, because they get paid first dollar bonus. So all this money is coming out before you even get to see it. Where the streaming, you control the revenue stream and more of the money, you cut out a lot of middlemen, you know, to that money. And the end of the game for these guys is to make profit. Fans, it's up to us to enjoy content. Their job is to make profit. Our goals are not the same. I think that's where we get lost sometimes. We don't realize that that numbers game means a lot more to them than the emotional attachment that we have to these IPs.
I think.
Why did they?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead, CJ. I'll go after you.
Why do they plan on remaking successful things like the whole Harry Potter TV show? Like
money.
If the movies did so well, then why remake?
Because the frequency. Okay, frequency.
That money's gone.
Yeah, frequency. If I do something in a series IP like that, you know, like a Game of Thrones movie will do great. But House of the Dragons, 10 episodes, and Jon Snow and all that, that's doing even better. Not only am I getting the value from the subscribers, I'm getting the value of my stock prices, because when Game of Thrones went off the air and they didn't have anything to replace it, HBO lost 52% of their male demographic. Their stock plunged that day because of that. So it's not just the actual, cash register ringing value, it's the worth and value of your company. Because when you have that kind of worth, it's like having a nice house. You can take out a loan, you can get leverage, you could do things. A lot of the borrowed money that a studio has is based on the value of what they're doing. That's why they're all looking at the Flash. They're looking at the Flash. If the Flash does well, then they get a lot more money from like places like Legendary or places that finance them. That's less of their money that they have to spend. All they got to do is make a certain amount and pay the interest back. So that's why these things are important.
And then
Also,
circling
answer your
back,
question, frequency.
Also, remember, nostalgia sells. Regardless of how much people get, like somebody said earlier in the chat, no matter how much people get aggravated at nostalgia, they still want nostalgia.
It's gotta be done
Rose-colored
right.
glasses, true, but rose-colored glasses are a thing, okay? We often look on our own childhoods and the things that we saw in our childhoods as being greater than anything we deal with now, okay? This is a problem that's going on in the comic book industry right now with a certain group of people. They want things to be like the 90s, but it ain't like that anymore in the comics, okay? And they're trying to drag it kicking and screaming back into the 90s, and that's just not going to work.
Yeah, but
Well,
the 90s
Same can be
It's
said.
Star Wars.
Same could be said with a lot of it, okay? Same could be said with a lot of these IPs. You either drag it into the future, or you become held up in the past, okay?
Can you
Now,
highlight
there's
Kaveri's statement real quick, Max, while he's talking? The Kaveri's, how do you justify $200 million while he's talking? I just want to answer that after.
Sure.
After Dave's done, I want to answer that.
Okay, so like I said really quick, nostalgia is a thing, but like William said, you have to do it in the right way. So there's a happy medium in the center where there's people that you may have been too young to see that original theatrical run of Harry Potter. And even though the physical media is out there, you still want to see it the way you want to see it. Okay? So a lot of these streaming services going back to that same well in the past, it's where money was made. So they're of course going to step back to that same well. Again, it's just money. It's just dollar signs, folks. Mathematics wins.
All right, so how do you justify $200 million dollar movie going to streaming without a theatrical run? Easy, because one, you still have your subscriber base, and you don't have to give 33% of that to a theater. Two, you have other residuals. So say, for instance, you're Warner Brothers. You don't just have your streamer. You have several networks. So if I put Max goes to Hollywood, right? And that goes, I spend $200 million on Max and Rhea go to Hollywood. All right, I spend $200 million of that, and it premieres on my streaming service. All right, so after I've got my subscriber value of that, and it does well, and I can put a limited release run, it only has to be in one theater to get an Academy Award nomination like that. And so I do that, right? And then I have TNT, I have TBS, I have all these other networks. What happens when you put something on regular TV? Commercials, that's ad revenue. So that's ad revenue on top of that. You sell it to other streaming services, you sell it to other, you have deals and stuff back up to where this thing is. It's just like Sony does. Sony has, every time Sony does something with Spider-Man, they have the next 5 years planned out where their money is going. They know where they can sell it, they know where it's going, and they know their streaming value and whatever. That's why they're able to sell it. But yeah, I can spend just like The Irishman. The Irishman is a 4-hour movie that went straight to streaming. It had a limited release, but it's the bulk of its notoriety came from streaming. You know, you have other revenue streams that you can make, that you can do, and you can put it on physical media if you want to. Like if they ever did Justice League, if they ever decided to resolve that and put it on physical media, DVD box sets, physical media may be dying, but niche stuff like the cool packaging and stuff like that stuff still sells. Now you put that on a streamer, and people are like, well, why would you pay all that money just to have something on a streamer? You know how many when Blade Runner 2049 actually bombed in the box office, right? It sold $22 million on the first 6 days in Blu-rays alone, in this market with DVDs. So there's money to be made when you justify your budget. You have your revenue streams lined up. It happens every day. Netflix literally built their model on that, and no matter what Netflix is going through, that is still their model, and it's still successful. So yeah, you can easily do that.
Oh, I did want to.
Oh, sorry.
No, I did want to be cognizant of William and Thade's show starting soon, and I think
Okay.
it would be a perfect segue for Brian's segment, where again, this is a William
Yeah.
appreciation stream, so we want to maybe cap it off with some Star Trek. Brian, if you wanted to give us an idea of what the topic is.
Well, it'd be what we do normally here on To the Max on good old Saturday nights here. We have what's known as 20 questions. So this is a special theme. I feel like it's probably going to be too goddamn easy,
Well,
but we're going to give it a whirl anyways. Basically it's very simple. 20 questions. I almost thought like we should ask the chat, because I guarantee the chat would know less about it than the panel. 'Cause the panel would just get in like 10
This should be
seconds.
fun.
So anywho, it's a Star Trek character.
it's a Star Trek character.
I'm not going to get any more specific because it's too easy.
All right. I have a question right away, but I said William or Thade. You know, you got the Star Trek guys. Oh, Brucifer's a Star. You like Star Trek too, right, Brucifer?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Wh-
any Star Trek character?
Yep. Any out of the
He can only answer
60
yes
plus
or no
years.
questions.
and yes or no questions.
I was gonna ask, is it a captain?
And we have to screen CJH. Like, you know.
That was when
I'm just playing Hogwarts.
Okay, cool.
All right, what was that? I'm sorry, I missed the first part. What's the?
We're gonna do 20 questions. It's Star Trek themed.
Okay.
Yes or no questions. And the
It's a
topic is a
character.
Star Trek character.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go first.
All right.
Is the character specific to the shows?
What do you mean?
You know, they only appeared in shows, not movies.
Yeah, shows.
Ooh, good one.
Are they an android?
No.
Are they part Borg, or have somewhat like Borg part of their identity or past?
No.
Is it Odo?
No.
Have,
Even
have
though I
they-
like Odo quite a bit.
have they appeared in only one series
Ooh,
or
that's a good
multiple?
question.
Ooh.
That's a good one. He's
If
gonna
I'm
have to think
staying
about it.
strictly to the character, they were just in one series.
Huh.
Wait, no. Two.
Ah!
Two. Sorry. Yeah.
Is it a
That would be-
captain?
No.
You already asked that.
No, but he didn't. But I didn't count it yet. So
Okay.
you're good.
He never answered.
Is it a Deep Space Nine character?
That's his favorite.
Recurring or regular?
Recurring.
No.
What was the
No,
character?
no.
Was it-
How do you qualify recurring?
No, it
or-
wasn't. It wasn't a recurring role. But that should narrow it down.
Hank Deasy asked, is it Worf?
No,
That's a recurring role.
he's a regular, series regular.
Is he human?
What was the rank
Or
question? What was the answer to
no.
whether he was a captain or not? I missed
No,
it.
the answer to the captain is no.
Is he human or alien?
You can't see yes or no. You could just say, is he an alien?
We're not going with gender yet, have we?
Not
Like,
Chunky.
Oh,
Oh,
weird.
that's a good one.
Hmm.
Are they female?
Yes.
Ooh.
Is it Jadzia Dax?
No.
Damn.
These are some deep cuts, y'all.
Well, that's a
are,
series
dropping.
regular on Deep Space Nine, so that would be out the door.
Okay, wasn't a recurring character.
Wasn't a recurring character.
It was a
more than two
recurring
shows.
character that was in 2 shows. Okay. Not a captain.
Is it a main character?
No.
Is
It's not a series regular. That's what I mean by series
Yeah.
regular. That's
Is
a main
it
character.
is it Reginald Barkley?
Oh no, that would have been a good one.
He said female, William. He said
Oh,
female.
I was off
female
there.
character.
And they were a recurring character on Deep Space Nine,
Uh-huh.
but they were in more than one series.
So that would really narrow that one down too.
I think I got
Only
it.
2 shows that ran during the same time.
Was it Luxana Troy?
Are you serious right now?
Ooh, got
That
him.
was my next guess.
Really?
Yeah.
That quick?
Nice.
You know, that's where I was going to. I was about to say Lord
Right.
Troy.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay, there's a bonus question, which I'm sure you'll get right now.
That looks like the guy who played Lurch in the 90s
Oh, shit,
Addams
I need to-
Family
I need to-
movie.
Yeah, I think it is.
Nice.
If he hadn't died so early, it would have been Lurch. Lurch died young.
Mr. Holm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
Mr. Holm.
The bonus question. Name that actress.
Oh, Major Roddenberry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's is that Gene Roddenberry's wife?
Yes.
Gene Roddenberry Jr.'s
wow.
mother.
This
voice
is
of the ship.
This is the voice of the ship that came back for Star Trek Picard season 3, which is freaking awesome. She was #1 in The Cage, which was the original pilot made in 1964. So that they had a female first officer, which was freaking just unheard of back then. Yeah. So, and she was also Deanna Troy's mom.
Yep.
Super eccentric. There's like one of my favorite scenes is where like they're trying to escape from these Ferengis that kidnap them, and you know, it's the one where the Picard meme where
Yep,
you know it's
you
like
lost.
I love you. No, that was because of Luoxana Troy.
Oh,
Yep.
putting his head down.
Yeah, yeah. Great episode too.
Really good episode, actually.
I liked the back and forth between her and Picard. It was a good part of the show. And
What's interesting is when you have Amazon Prime streaming, if you've got certain plugins on their live, on the Amazon Prime Live TV, you get like a whole channel that is nothing but Star Trek. It runs all the Star Trek shows 24/7
yeah, I saw
on
that.
a loop. Okay. And I caught that particular episode that Brian was just talking about like 2 nights ago.
Right? But isn't that a great one though? Like, was it Damon Targ or something like that? Where he's just like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic stuff, and good job, Bruce. You got me real quick.
Thank
It
you.
was Luoxana Troy in 11 questions, and the bonus question, Majel Barrett Roddenberry. But we got this.
No, that is awesome. I am looking forward to more Star Trek later tonight. Thade, William, I guess like you get like a 30-minute break between
Pretty much.
the
Going to get
show
something to
and
drink.
yeah, definitely recharge. Yeah, like if we had to, go around the horn and use the next 5-6 minutes to wrap up so these guys can take a break. Again, thank you, William, for everything you do for the community. I appreciate you. Anytime I'm in Vegas or in the area, I am definitely going to come through, say hey. I can't wait to attend more of your events as well. Thank you. Thank you for being a friend.
Travel down the road and back again.
Okay, so now Rhea, since you've done my homeboy William, I expect an appreciation stream soon next for me, okay? No, I'm just
Oh yeah, we got some appreciation streams queued up. We got Brucifers and Max. Who else did we have?
I'll have to go to the list. There's a list.
Yeah, there's a queue. But yes, Thade, yes, absolutely. You do a lot for the community as well to keep things, keep the ship afloat.
I do have a final question though. Like, how come theaters don't re-release classic movies?
Say that again.
How come theaters don't re-release classic movies more often?
Because they have to pay a public performance fee that doesn't make it worth it all the time, unless it's a big movie that they're assured that, like re-releasing Star Wars or Raiders or things like that. But whenever a theater re-releases a movie like that, they have to pay what's called a public performance fee. So they have to make that back on top of, and theaters don't make their money, the lion's share of their profit from the movies. They make it off of concessions. So you don't want to bring in something that costs you as much as your concessions are going to make. Otherwise, you risk just breaking even or losing money. So
That's why they
has to
don't
be-
re-release Star Wars more often.
Well, they can do that because Disney and Fox prior to them did special deals for that. Like when we play Star Wars Hero for the May the 4th, we get a price break. Because of the volume of people across the nation that are going to be showing that movie, the studio is going to make their money. But when it's like Gone with the Wind or something like that, or the Maltese Falcon or things, classics like that, it has to be equitable for the company. And a lot of times, the more popular the movie, the more expensive it is to license to be able to show in public.
Yep.
And
God.
people don't show up. The general public doesn't really care about the original. They want remakes and sequels and reboots. There's a lot there.
I don't want to go see Gone with the Wind, man.
And the profit margin
I've seen it on
for
DVD
theaters,
in my house.
yeah, that too. Profit margin for theater is almost nothing. Even though they get that 33% from the studios, that's 33% is not enough. You need to be making 50 or more to make a profit. That's why your popcorn's the price it is. That's why you're for a medium soda it's like $7 because that's where they make their
And
money.
that's why
That's
the
their markup.
theaters are gonna go bye-bye.
In my theater they sell pizza now.
Oh, most of them, a lot of them do.
Don't
Yeah.
say that, Brian. William's got a theater.
Well, no, but I understand it. But like I said, because we do that here, I understand the cost that go into it. And that's
We've had
why I
3 of
know
them closed down in the last 5 years, man.
Yeah. No,
They're
it's it's
dropping like
turning
flies.
into a ghost town for sure.
Vegas has so many of them because they're used as a device to bring the families into casinos. That's
True.
pretty much what they're.
I don't know.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just bring
good
a
point.
book bag full of food to my theater.
Oh yeah, I got my my purse loaded up with snacks
Nice.
from Target, all that,
I gotta
You know
start
what?
wearing
I'm
a
gonna say
belt
don't
if my
do that.
pants fall down. I'm like trying to load my pockets full of shit.
I'm gonna go ahead and say don't do that. Here's why, and I know it. And it's. But if you want that theater to stay alive, that's the only way they're gonna do it is by selling you stuff like that. They're not making any money off the movie, so if you want the
Okay.
theater experience to stay alive, that's all I'm saying. Then
Yeah, but
that's
I'm
the only
broke,
place to
man.
get money.
I could barely afford the $20 ticket.
No, I hear what William's saying, and then sometimes like I end up getting the groups that I'm in will get the popcorn because they're trying to make it worth your while with the refills, So
Absolutely.
yeah, like there's some incentive. Oh yeah, and then the commemorative buckets too, like like
Last
the
2
Super
times
Mar-
I went, I was skunked. I was
Oh,
like,
do you
"Brr,
sell
didn't have one."
concessions too, William, at your part of the theater?
We used to, but the operation that I do now, when we go big, we have like Sister Kim's handles all the food for us and all
Oh,
that kind of stuff.
Man, that sounds good.
It's gotten
Yes.
big. We do drive-ins now, so we're no longer doing just a small where we do the 20-foot screen. We got like a 40 or 50-foot screen, and like for Godzilla versus Kong, we did Godzilla versus Kong, the promo here for that.
Oh,
So we have other people who it used to be. I had a popcorn machine and I was handling it all, and then I'd have the remote, and then we would push play. But
that's
it's-
like a local cool community thing, though. That's
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
theaters should be.
That's
you
what
know, like-
Tromania was. It was awesome.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's pretty
dude.
much what we did. But here's the thing, though. There's a reason why Trauma's been around, though, because he's adapted to the point where he knew where and what to do. He doesn't have a theater infrastructure to support, and that's why when Zaslav said what he said, I understand why he did it, but it was very disingenuous. You're telling people that you're making that the whole streaming thing was stupid and that it was a bad idea when that's not true. That's the future. That's going to be the dominant revenue stream, even if there are movies, because of the finances. He's got millions and millions of dollars. He can literally build a theater in his backyard that has Dolby surround sound. But the average person, it can't afford multiple movies. Like if you want to go see The Flash and Spider-Verse or Indiana Jones, so you got your monthly finances planned out. There's 3 really huge movies that you might want to go see, and you might have to eliminate one of those as a theater, or 2 of those as a theater going experience because of money. So it's then people get fired because the box office isn't good, So it's a rat race. But once again, it's all about money. You can't really, like when we were doing our theater experience here, we started doing it in like the early 2000s, and it was strong until Netflix stopped being the mail-in DVD and Blu-ray stuff and became the streaming stuff and started showing things that you couldn't get anywhere. We would show things that you could not go anywhere to see, and that was how we built it. But once they started getting in on it, it was like, well, hell, gas is $4.95 a gallon. They're just going to stay home now. So
But yes, to be cognizant of the show that Thade and William are going to be hosting in like less than 30 minutes, I just want to quickly go around the horn again. Max, thank you for using your platform to appreciate William and all that.
I love William. It was great seeing you visit him, and I love when he tunes in from his sci-fi center, and then he rushes home and he's chilling out in the dark right before he goes to bed, still talking about nerd stuff. Yeah, so congrats, William. You deserve it. And Thade. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Bruce, for Brian, CJH, Rhea.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any closing thoughts before we hop over to the next stream that William's hosting?
Sure. I just want to say I love the Dukes of Hazzard also. I grew up watching it with my dad,
Yeah.
so I can. And you're not racist because you watch it.
That was ridiculous.
That
Yeah.
was ridiculous.
I don't know where that topic came from. I haven't thought of that movie since the Johnny Knoxville remake.
Yeah,
Never all been in trouble with
Long-
the
long
law
story
since the
we
day
were-
they were born.
I just like the epic car flying in the air cutscene in the intro. That's all I remember about the show.
I had that car.
Nice.
Cavalry Charge.
Could we
Um,
ever see the return of movie stores where they sell physical media?
What was that?
The return of movie stores where they sell physical media. Could we ever see the return of
I
that?
think years down the line you will, and I think it'll be out of demand for random interactions that people missed. I think COVID showed people that it can't all be push button and touch screen. That you can't deal. There's a lot of mental illness or depression that goes along, and a lot of it is because we control too much of our environment from these screens. We never have to work out problems. We never have to have long discussions because when we don't like somebody, we can block them or we can hit the black X on the screen and make someone disappear. So you never have to go through the ebbs and flows. And that's the same thing when it goes to retail environments and things like that. You never get the chance to go out and randomly be experienced to other things and other people. So I think people want that back. And I think that's why vinyl has made a comeback. I think bookstores will make a comeback, and I do think video, physical media will make a comeback. But it's up to the fans, though, because physical media didn't die because corporations killed it. Physical media dies because that's what fans chose over physical media. If you choose physical media over this, then you can bring it back.
I am posting William's link in the chat. Definitely go give him a follow if you, a subscribe if you haven't already. We're definitely trying to get William to at least 200 subs. That would be a great way to show appreciation for sure. And again,
Give him
he's
a follow,
hosting a.
too.
Give him a follow on his Twitter as well. I'll drop that in the chat. Thank you, CJH. Again, not to rush everyone off to their next tasks, but yeah, again, trying to be mindful of people's bandwidth and giving them a break between shows. But yes, thank you all so much. And yeah, I guess.
Can I answer one more question before you disappear? Patrick
Yes.
Child, I don't want the theater experience to die. I don't think it will, but I don't think it's going to be what it is.
No, I think it's going to be like a localized thing in
Yeah.
like major metropolitan areas or local communities that strap together to save their theater. Because, dude, it's kind of sad, man. Because back in the day, you convert the old theater in like a dollar theater.
Yeah.
You know, show movies that are just going on to streaming or whatever the hell. You know,
Well, I know
you
my
didn't even pay
local
nothing for
theater,
them.
They're introducing IMAX, and they've never done that before in my theater. So.
IMAX, I think, is what's going to save. More and more stuff needs to be really IMAX exclusive.
And
stuff.
a luxurious sort of like, you know, comfortable chairs that you can, you know, recline in. Like AMC's got it locked down.
Yeah.
I know that they're doing this weird seat reservation where they're charging more for premium seating. I don't know if that's still a thing or not. But sorry to introduce that other topic. I wanted to end the show on a good note and appreciate William. But yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. It was fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't nearly as horrible. Well, I thought I was going to get ambushed, but nobody ambushed me. I'm good.
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah, no, this show just flowed organically for 2 hours. So yeah, we had a great discussion, had everyone go around the horn to tell some awesome stories about you. And yeah, be sure to catch the next show over on William's channel. It'll be dual streamed over on Poindexter Lounge 2. But yeah, be sure to follow and subscribe to William, the Sci-Fi Center, pretty much on every platform, and his Instagram. He posts a lot of great content on there. And yeah, he's posting more on Twitter too, so definitely give him a follow. Max, if you want to end the stream with anything that you want to close out with.
Oh yeah, definitely support William. Support everyone here. It's a great community. We'll have more great things to come. I'm sure William is gonna. William's going to be around. He's going to be around all over nerd culture, and go if you ever get a chance to see him in real life. I heard that's a great thing to do. Visit the Sci-Fi Center. So go check him out.
I'm showing up in my
have a-
49ers jersey
Yeah.
and the freaking Giants hat. Ooh.
Oh,
Yes.
I got somebody came in an Edmonton jersey. I almost didn't let him in. So,
What about
Um,
sharks, man?
Oh yeah, William roasted me about liking the San Jose Sharks. And-
No. Did you get the 1991? Oh, sorry, 1983. I saw the San Jose Sharks. Okay,
Yeah, get your snacks
I love
ready.
the Sharks.
Go get a snack break to get ready for
Yeah, I gotta
Sci-Fi
get
Center
mine, too.
overnight. Get your snacks ready.
All right.
Wasn't that the year they lost to the Montreal
I
Canadiens?
can't end right before 2 hours. I gotta wait.
that
till
was
20
the
seconds.
that was
Oh,
the year
okay.
I put a curse on Canada. I put a curse on Canada.
In
right after
15
that.
seconds, I'm gonna end it right then. I'm gonna
All
get
right.
right at the 2 hour mark. Watch.
You tried last time.
Watch.
No, do it.
You
Yeah.
did now.
All right.
All
I'm
right.
I'm not
going.
gonna say anything then.
Right
Bye.
now.